The history behind WCW featured many great names creating a legacy or adding new chapters to it during their time there. Names such as Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Goldberg and Sting were viewed as the faces of the company at various different points. However, factions were also an important part of the show, with the group's leaders often getting singles pushes. WCW was viewed as doing a much better job with the stable act than WWE did until the later years. Some groups stood out more than others when looking at their accomplishments and how the entertainment value held up. Each of the following factions deserves to be discussed as the best of the best in World Championship Wrestling. Welcome to Honor Wrestling Club, and in today's video we're counting down the 10 best factions in WCW history. However, before we crack on with the list, I'd just like to firstly welcome you to Honor Wrestling Club. It really does mean a lot to us that you are here, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to check out our video. And if you are new here, be sure to click the thumbs up button and the subscribe button to make sure you never miss out on any of the fun content that we produce here at Honor Wrestling Club. Welcome to the club. Now, without further ado, let's crack on with the list with number 10, the Latino World Order that had a short but underrated WCW tenure. Unfortunately, this group ended before WCW provided a proper storyline payoff. WWE fans have enjoyed the Latino World Order faction there enough to see it surpass the WCW version from years earlier. Eddie Guerrero formed the LWO after his work shoot promo calling out Eric Bischoff caused the Mexican wrestlers to band together. The LWO had an underrated storyline of Eddie forcing Rey Mysterio to join the group as their relationship evolved. Unfortunately, Guerrero getting injured in a car accident ended the angle earlier than expected. Rey refused to give up the LWO shirt afterwards, showing loyalty to what the group represented after being hesitant to join. In number 9, we have the Magnificent Seven, which was WCW's final main event act. Scott Steiner's World Championship Wrestling Championship push led to a new group forming around him. Ric Flair was the heel authority figure working with Steiner to form the Magnificent Seven together. Buff Bagwell, Lex Luger, Road Warrior Animal, Jeff Jarrett and Rick Steiner made up the rest of the group. The heels ran the show after Steiner won the WCW Championship from Booker T, and totally buffed forced Goldberg to retire. WCW setting up the revenge for the faces didn't play out, as WWE would purchase the company to end the faction rather quickly before it properly got going. In number 8, we have Team Canada that proved that mimicking other acts can work. Lance Storm led his own heel faction of Team Canada when joining WCW following his ECW tenure. Bret Hart's heel Hart Foundation group had thrived in WWE by insulting American fans and declaring that Canadians were the better people. Not exactly wrong here, let's be honest. However, Storm decided that he would do the same in WCW to get huge heat with the WCW audience. Elix Skipper, Major Guns, Mike Awesome and Jim Duggan all spent time in Team Canada, and the faction became a rare overact in WCW's difficult final year. In number 7, we have the Natural Born Thrillers, which was a great way to build up new stars, and this was a rare instance of young WCW talents getting pushed into major roles. One of the reasons for WCW going out of business was the lack of younger homegrown talents. Whilst WWE was showcasing new top stars, WCW relied on the 1980s and the early 90s top stars to hold name value. The Natural Born Thrillers showed how much WCW wanted to change that in the year 2000, when in a difficult position, Shawn Stasiak, Mark Jindrak, Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Hare looked strong as a united force, defeating bigger names, while Mike Sanders would do the talking. In number 6, we have the Filthy Animals that represented the future of wrestling, and it became an unexpected hit for WCW's mid-card scene. WCW allowed a group of friends to work together after they were mostly in the Cruiserweight division separately. Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman, Conan and Eddie Guerrero would form the Filthy Animals faction in 1999. Tori Wilson eventually joined as Kidman's love interest to add another dynamic to the group. Fans loved the Filthy Animals and treated them like a rare popular act in 1999. The second version of the group, with Disco Inferno and Juventud Guerrera, who replaced Guerrero and Kidman, didn't work out nearly as well. In number 5, we have Raven's Flock, which felt unique to any other act in all of wrestling. And WCW actually did great work with Raven during his first year. The debut of Raven in WCW featured him sitting in the crowd until Commissioner J.J. Dillon convinced him to sign a contract. Raven had fellow ECW talent Saturn debut as part of his group, but the other members were misplaced WCW talents looking for a purpose. Billy Kidman, Horace Hogan, Scotty Riggs, Lodi and Van Hammer were some of the more memorable members of the Flock. Raven was portrayed as a strong mid-card heel for over a year with the Flock behind him, but fans mostly remember the ugly ending of him getting released in a tense backstage meeting that saw Eric Bischoff say to the entire roster that if you want your release you can have it, any of you, and that saw Raven, and only Raven, stand up and walk out. That's so Raven. In number 4, we have the Jersey Triad, which helped all three talents thrive, as DDP ensured that Kanyon and Bam Bam Bigelow got to shine. Diamond Dallas Page was coming off his first stints as WCW champion when entering into the summer of 1999 in need of a new direction. The heel DDP formed his own trio called the Jersey Triad, with Bam Bam Bigelow and Chris Kanyon behind him. All three wrestlers had wonderful chemistry as friends and played into their backgrounds growing up in New Jersey. WCW pushed the Jersey Triad as the top unit in the tag division. Some of the best matches and underrated stories from that inconsistent year came from the Jersey Triad's success. In number 3, we have the Dangerous Alliance, which was Paul Heyman's first hit, as multiple legendary wrestlers benefited from being in Heyman's group. WWE inducting Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame had everyone talking about his legendary time managing in WWE and his legacy-defining work running ECW. However, Heyman's first major hit came years before either run whilst he was in WCW. The Dangerous Alliance saw names such as Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Rick Rude and Medusa all be represented by Paulie. WCW pushed them as a top heel act, and they had arguably the best War Games match against Sting's squadron. In number 2, we have the New World Order that gave WCW a huge, shocking win over WWE, as they passed WWE as the number 1 promotion with the NWO storyline leading the charge. Hulk Hogan agreeing to turn heel was the perfect third step after Scott Hall and Kevin Nash laid the groundwork with their shocking defection for the New World Order starting. Fans were fascinated by the concept of a hostile takeover, with the trio growing with new members. The NWO angle worked great for over 2 years, which gave WCW a dominant ratings winning streak over WWE for 80 straight weeks. Fans still make NWO merchandise the top seller on WWE's site today to show the overall impact of the group. WCW is not remembered in the grand fashion it is today without the NWO. But in at number 1, we have the Four Horsemen, which was always the gold standard in WCW. There were multiple versions of the faction that always found success with Ric Flair. The Four Horsemen was an established act when WCW officially formed. Ric Flair and Arn Anderson remained the constant members leading the way, with various others rotating in and out of different versions of the groups. Barry Windham, Tully Blanchard, Sid Vicious, Sting, Lex Luger, Steve McMichael and Dean Malenko are just some of the respected names to spend time in the faction. The Four Horsemen always held relevance in WCW, whether as a dominant main event group or in a rebuilding effort. And there you have it, there's our list. So what did you think? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Who do you think is the greatest faction in WCW history? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and click the subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you never miss out on any of the fun content that we produce here at Honor Wrestling Club. However, until next time, I'd just like to thank you for watching and welcome to the club. See ya!